So let's talk about Donald Trump's desperate and pathetic attacks against Kamala Harris. Now, today is Thursday, August 1st, and yesterday, I'm sure you've seen it, Donald Trump made an appearance, an interview with a panel of journalists from the National Association of Black Journalists, and it didn't go well. And in that appearance, Donald Trump made clear two of his attacks against Kamala Harris, and really they're the only two that he has been obsessively making. And they both are incredibly stupid, and they both are incredibly racist. But the man is a racist, and he just can't help himself. But let's talk about these stupid and racist attacks against Kamala Harris. And they come in two basic varieties. The first is that he attacks her as not qualified to be president, and that the only reason she got where she is in life is because of her race and her gender. They call her a DEI hire, diversity, equity, and inclusion. They used to call people affirmative action hires, but it's the exact same thing. He's saying that she is not qualified. She's only being nominated because of her race and gender. She was only selected for vice president because of her race and gender. And every position she's ever had in her life is only because of her race and her gender. Obviously, it is racist and insulting, and it's also profoundly stupid. There is no evidence to suggest that the only reason she has gotten anywhere in her life is because of her race and her gender. It is just so stupid. And to suggest that this woman, this exceedingly accomplished woman, is not qualified is just absurd in the extreme. Let us compare her, shall we, to Donald Trump himself. What qualified Donald Trump to be president of the United States? And no one questioned whether he was qualified. No one really questioned in 2016 when he was running for president whether he was qualified. I don't know why, frankly, because he really wasn't. But what qualified Donald Trump in his life to be president of the United States? He had never held elective office before at any level. Never. He'd never run for office before, never held any government position before. What had he done? Well, he was handed a real estate business by his father. He was handed hundreds of millions of dollars from his father. Now, if you or I had been handed hundreds of millions of dollars and a business, we would do quite well for ourselves now, wouldn't we? So it's not impressive that Donald Trump is a rich man. He's not a self-made rich man. Daddy gave him everything that he has. And but let's explore that a little bit further, shall we? Was he given hundreds of millions of dollars and a successful business, and then took that and ran it successfully, managed the money successfully, managed the business successfully? No. He had to declare bankruptcy 5 times. That is a failed businessman. And actually, until NBC came along and bailed his bankrupt ass out by making him the star of a reality TV series, The Apprentice, he never would have run for president, and he would be a washed up, bankrupt loser. That's what he would be right now if NBC didn't come and save him from his mediocrity and his bankruptcies. But that's all he had. Hundreds of millions of dollars that he squandered, businesses that he bankrupted, and a reality TV series that he was handed on a silver plate. That is all he brought to the table for qualifications when he ran for office in 2016. Yet no one seriously challenged his qualifications. And as I say, they should have, because those things in no way qualify him to be president of the United States. Bankrupting businesses and being the star of a reality TV series, that makes you qualified to be president of the United States? No, it's ridiculous. It's laughable. But let's take a look at Kamala Harris. What qualifies her to be president of the United States? Well, she's a former prosecutor like myself. She worked in the district attorney's office in San Francisco. From there, she became Attorney General of the state of California. She was the head of the second largest law enforcement agency in the entire country, second only to the United States Department of Justice. She got there on her own. Then what? She became United States Senator. Nobody gave her any of this. She went out, she set her sights on it, and she earned it. And then she successfully exercised the duties of those offices. So, prosecutor, Attorney General of the state of California, and United States Senator from the state of California. Then, she was elected Vice President of the United States. So, prosecutor, Attorney General, Senator, Vice President of the United States. How in the world could anyone look at a person with that resume and say that they are not qualified to be President of the United States? No one would say that about a white guy with that resume. The only reason he's saying it is because she is a black woman. We all know this. He is a straight up racist. He can't handle it. What bothers me about all of this is that Trump largely gets a pass for his racism. And let me go off on an aside really quickly here before I resume my points. I made this point in a video earlier. You know, J.D. Vance, piece of garbage that he is, has been rightly coming under fire for his misogynistic comments about women and childless cat ladies and all this stuff, right? Certainly he should be, decimated for those misogynistic comments. But Donald Trump says far worse than that almost on a daily basis, and largely his comments aren't even covered by the media. It makes me sick. It's just that's just an aside. Let me get back to this here. So, to say that she is a DEI candidate, that the only reason she is running for president is because she is a black woman and that she is otherwise not qualified to be president, is ludicrous and obviously overtly racist and sexist. And when you compare her record to Donald Trump's record, there's no question who is qualified and who is not. Kamala Harris, clearly qualified. Donald Trump, clearly not. Okay, so you have that whole line about DEI, being a DEI candidate. Then the other ridiculous and overtly racist attack he lodges against Kamala Harris is this idea that he talked about yesterday at his disastrous appearance before the Association of Black Journalists. And that is this idea that she is not really black. Or until recently, as Donald Trump put it, she never identified as black. She was only promoting her Indian heritage. That is so, we don't have to discuss why that is so absurd and so racist and so factually untrue. The woman went to Howard University, an historically black institution. She has always identified in her public persona as a black woman. She looks like a black woman. She is a black woman. She has always identified herself as a black woman, but she has not lied about her Indian heritage either. Like many Americans, she has a mixed background. And for Donald Trump, blithering idiot that he is, to make these kinds of comments is not just insulting and racist towards Kamala Harris, but it's insulting and racist and just flat out stupid with respect to the tens and millions of people throughout this country of mixed racial background, mixed heritage. You don't have to choose one or the other. If you are of mixed background, you don't have to choose which one you're going to identify with. And that's implicitly what this ignorant buffoon is saying. That she can't be both. She can't be both an Indian woman and a black woman. She has to choose one or the other. And this morning, this racist piece of garbage posted a picture on his Truth Social platform. He posted a picture of Kamala Harris when she was younger, dressed in what looked like some sort of traditional Indian attire with the Indian side of her family. And she, this beautiful picture with her family, clearly embracing her Indian heritage. And so he used that picture to somehow bolster his claim that he made yesterday that she had always identified as Indian and only now is she pretending to be black or claiming to be black. Just, it's so offensive, it's so stupid, it's so overtly racist, but that's who the man is. But what I mean, are people who still support this man ever going to wake up? How can you be a person of mixed heritage and listen to Donald Trump over the last 24 hours and still support this man? How is that possible? And I'll tell you how it's possible. And that's going to lead me to my final point here, which sort of ties all this together. And that is the reason why people can support Donald Trump, despite not just this, but the years and years of the misogyny, the racism, the criminality, the compulsive lying, the rape, the sexual assaults of women. I mean, just on and on and on. How you can still support him after all of that? Well, the answer to that, well, there's various answers, depending upon the person, I guess. You know, some of these people are just god-awful human beings who just revel in their own racism and hatred. Some people are just so profoundly stupid, ignorant really is the better term. They don't pay attention to politics at all. They don't follow the news at all. They really don't know anything about Donald Trump, his crimes, the rape, the misogyny, the racism. They really don't know. And I know you're thinking, how is that possible? How can people not know? As amazing as it is, there are lots of people in this country who really don't know. Believe me, as a former prosecutor, as I mentioned, I've picked a lot of juries. And when you engage in jury selection, you ask all kinds of questions. And it becomes obvious to you how many people in this country are just completely oblivious to so much that goes on. They never read the news, watch the news, listen to the news. They don't know anything about what's going on in this country at all. You know, they go to work or not work, whatever they do, and they spend their time with whatever just entertains them. You know, nowadays it's TikTok. It used to be other things. They're just watching Netflix. They're on TikTok all the time, whatever. There's really a lot of people who don't know anything. So there are some people who are just completely ignorant to all of Donald Trump's awfulness. So you have the people who are horrible themselves, just like Donald Trump, and so of course they support him. There are a lot of those, surprisingly. And that is really one of the most illuminating and shocking thing about the Trump years is to realize how many truly horrible people there are in this country. Anyway, so you have horrible people, you have profoundly ignorant people, and then you have these people who live in a completely alternate reality. This is the Fox News. These are the Fox News people. These are the people who obsessively watch Fox News. They're online, they're on Twitter, they watch Newsmax, they listen to these horrible and watch these horrible podcasts like Steve Bannon's War Room and Dan Bongino and all these morons. And so while they're engaged in politics, they have created for themselves an information bubble where they believe only what is said in those platforms. And if you don't watch any of those, listen to them, you really should now and then, just to see what kind of insanity and hatred and just outright lies these people immerse themselves in 24/7. These people are completely out of touch with reality. And so when all of these lies and this garbage is repeated over and over and over and over and over and over and over again every day, and they just ruminate in this crap, they really it alters their freaking brain, and they are not. So it's impossible to have a serious conversation with any of these people, because it's like trying to have a serious conversation about American politics with some alien who just dropped down to the planet. They don't have any frame of reference. They have no idea. That's what these Fox News obsessive viewers are like. They have no attachment to reality. They don't know what's really going on. They know only what is fed to them through these outlets. And here's the thing, too, that you need to keep in mind. Donald Trump is one of those people. Donald Trump gets all his news and information from Fox News and those kinds of places. And so a lot of times, if you want to know what Donald Trump is going to say, watch Fox News. He just repeats what he hears on Fox News. The insane crap that you get on Laura Ingraham's show and Sean Hannity and Jesse Waters and all these people, it's Donald Trump getting his thoughts from them more than them just parroting Donald Trump. I mean, it's a circle. Donald Trump hears it on Fox News, then he says it, and then Fox News repeats it even more. So Trump hears it on Fox News. Trump goes out on a rally or in an interview, whatever, and then says it. And then Fox News plays clips of Donald Trump saying that at his rallies or whatever. And it's just a feedback loop. But most of this stuff that comes out of his face originates from the lunatics on Fox News. And so this DEI candidate crap, this started on Fox News. Trump hears it, so then he starts saying this crap. Now, it's not like it's hard to come up with that. He's a racist. Of course he's going to say stuff like that anyway. But you could see on so many of the issues, Donald Trump is just repeating what he hears on Fox News. But it also, in this case, Donald Trump is just at his core a racist. And, what more do people need to know to understand that? I mean, we've had years of this man. He's clearly a racist. People in his past have come forward and said about the, times that he's clearly acted racist. His nephew's out now saying he used the N-word frequently. People from The Apprentice have come out and said he used the N-word frequently. Anyway, let me cut this short. Well, not short, I'm 15 minutes in. By the way, please subscribe if you haven't done so already. And if you enjoy this content, please encourage family and friends to watch it. But before I go, look, Donald Trump is desperate, and he is flailing. And he's not smart at all. And he's old, okay? Joe Biden's age, the age issue, really the age issue applies. Yes, Joe Biden was older, but Donald Trump is more demented. And Donald Trump is clearly a mentally ill person, okay? Joe Biden just shows the normal effects of aging. Donald Trump is a mentally disturbed man who is getting worse by the day, exacerbated by his age. And one thing you'll know from your personal life about most older people is that the filters go away as they get older. They're more of who they are the older they get. They no longer give a damn. Their filters go down. They don't self-censor, right? And they just blurt things out more. And that's where Donald Trump is. Donald Trump is an old, mentally disturbed, demented man who is at his core a stupid person and a profound racist and misogynist. When you put all those things together, in the heat of a campaign that he thought he was going to walk away with an easy victory, and now suddenly he's neck and neck or losing to Kamala Harris. The man is desperate and he is scared, and here's part of his desperation. Never forget this. And this is the main motivation for him even running for a second term, and that is to stay out of prison. He doesn't say it, but Donald Trump knows, and this is the primary thing that's motivating him and wanting him to get a second term. He knows that this is his best chance of staying out of prison. He's scared to death. He loses this election, he's going to end up in prison because he more than likely will. And he knows that. And that is part of the reason for the desperation. And as he becomes more desperate, this stupid, bigoted, old, demented man is going to just go back to what comes natural to him. And that is the racism, the sexism, the hatred. And that's what you saw yesterday. And we're going to see more of it. And here's, as an aside, and I'm going to wrap it up with this. This fills my heart. This makes me happy. Donald Trump had his convention and got no bounce in the polls. When the hell has that ever happened? There's always some bounce in the polls for the candidate after their nominating convention. Trump got nothing. And this was just days after he survived an assassination attempt. He didn't even get a bump in the polls from surviving an assassination attempt. The man was supposedly shot by a would-be assassin, and he got no increase in support. Then a couple days later, he has his convention. He had no bounce from any of that. Now Kamala Harris, she's been a candidate for less than 2 weeks, and she's already caught up to him, surpassing him in many of the polls, and she hasn't even had her convention yet. She hasn't even really gotten on the air with all her ads yet because she just became the candidate. So anyways, just be optimistic. Be optimistic. Don't be overconfident, because overconfidence leads to complacency, and we don't want that. Be confident, not overconfident. Be optimistic, be energized, be excited, and let us keep our foot on the gas for the next 3 months and defeat this man. He is, as I say, a racist, sexist, mentally disturbed, old man. We can beat this guy, and we're going to beat this guy. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, and I'll talk to you again soon.